Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution. Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution, and this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution, and today I'm here with Rasheda Williams, and she is the founder of Empowered Flower Girls. So I'm really curious to find out all about what it is that she is doing in the world, what is Flower Girls, and what's her social mission all about. So welcome, Rasheda.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really awesome. I love what you're doing. When I learned about Social Mission Revolution, I was excited just by the title of the show alone. So I'm really honored to connect with you today.
Thank you. So I'd love to start with the question that I ask everybody. If there's just one thing that you could fight for, what would that be?
That is an amazing question because I think of a lot of things that are happening in the world worth fighting for. But the one thing, if I had to choose, I would fight for children to feel safe and celebrated. For young people, just to feel accepted. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I believe is worth fighting for in my line of work. So that young people feel accepted. They accept themselves and each other.
That's wonderful. That's a really good thing to fight for because, you know, I just think back to when my kids were teenagers and how and their struggles with going to different places and finding that acceptance and acknowledging who they were. It's so important.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Yes. So I'd love to hear what is Empowered Flower Girls?
Yeah, so Empowered Flower Girl is a social enterprise that is on a mission to transform the way young people relate to one another as well as themselves. A lot of the work that we do is around empowering young people as well as those who work with young people to live above life's drama so that they can make a powerful difference in the world. So the work that we do, we want to help them overcome some of the challenges, the social challenges, as well as the communications challenges they may face, whether that's societal pressure or even cyberbullying, so that they can live powerful lives and contribute to their communities as well. Oftentimes it's things like the teasing, the bullying, the social exclusion that's keeping young people in a place of feeling alone and isolated. And sometimes that causes them to have self-esteem challenges, and often they just give up, or maybe, you know, they act out in ways that are inappropriate, whether that's abusing drugs or alcohol, joining gangs, or and sometimes even self-harm. So what I really want to do is to help them so that they have access to resources, as well as adults in their lives, mentors, so that they have someone to talk to about the challenges that they're facing and know that they're not alone.
That's wonderful. It's a big mission you're on there. Really big, Rasheda. So what are some of the things you do to help them with that? Do you have programs or what is it? How is it that you operate?
Yes, so we work with schools, community organizations, and other groups to facilitate workshops and programs for youth. And by youth, I mean anywhere from middle school to high school level, as well as some college age students. Since the pandemic, of course, like everyone else, we've had to pivot and offer some virtual programming, which has been great because we're able to connect with organizations and individuals in areas that we may have never connected with globally, which is really awesome. But yes, we offer workshops and programs aimed at cyberbullying prevention, as well as combating relational aggression, like the mean girls and the social exclusion, as well as helping them to learn about opportunities where they can also give back to their communities. So recently we hosted service learning training for young people, as well as those who work with young people, either those who are raising, counseling, or teaching youth, helping them to have young people to take on service projects in their communities, which also builds their self-esteem, helps keep them engaged, and often builds kindness. And then they're able to relate to one another on a totally different level. So then, you know, bullying, things like bullying, teasing, and exclusion, those things subside when young people feel like they're contributing in their schools and their communities. So those are some of the workshops that we offer, those topics, which I believe are vitally important to helping young people in their social and emotional development.
Absolutely. And one of my model for a lot of I do is that we all need to have acceptance, belonging, and the opportunity to contribute. So I can see that in what you're doing. When I wrote a leadership program for a community, that was where I ended up focusing, was in encouraging young people to get involved in their own social mission, because when there's just that power of giving of yourself, contributing to society, that seems to make us feel like we're worthwhile, that we're doing something of value, that we've got something of value to give. Is that what you find when you work with young people, that's empowering for them?
Oh, definitely. Yes. And you brought up an excellent point. When we're giving to others, it helps us feel like we have purpose. And I often hear adults say that if I knew then what I know now, life would have been a lot better. I wouldn't have struggled so much. I wouldn't have had the challenges. So that's why I like to work with young people. Even fifth graders can make a difference. Middle school students, no matter your age, you can make a powerful contribution to the planet. And that's why I love to start working with young people and encouraging them to even think about some of the challenges that they face. Even if it's, you know, we don't like the school lunches, they're unhealthy. Can we do something about it? Encouraging them to speak up and to challenge things that, you know, that may not be in line with their values, or things that they know that need to change in their school climate, but just giving them the encouragement and the power to go ahead and have their ideas shared, to just being able to share their ideas, because some people have amazing ideas and they can make some powerful contributions to the planet. However, sometimes they feel discouraged, or they feel like adults just won't listen to them. But that's what we want them to know, that their voice matters and that we believe in them. And I think that the more they hear that, the more repetition, the better for young people and future generations. I want to be able to give young people a voice, a platform, so that they are heard and understood, not just by their peers, but also the adults in their lives as well.
Yeah, and it is a big thing with young people to understand that they do have that right to speak up and to make themselves heard. You think of young Greta from Sweden, you know, that big difference that she is making. I'm sure that is just the fact that she's doing that must be empowering a lot of young people to go, hey, my voice can be heard. I can stand up for what I want to, and people will listen. And it's such a powerful message beyond the message that she gives. It's a powerful message to young people that that it matters and they can make a difference. So it's wonderful to see that happening.
Yes, and it's happening. It's happening a lot. I've noticed that over the past 5 years or so, especially on issues of climate change, but also equity and racial injustice. So many young people are stepping up. Here in the States, there was some civil unrest last year in particular. It was a challenging year in addition to the pandemic with police brutality, but there were young people who used technology to organize and to connect. After the murder of George Floyd by the police, here in the States, there was a group of young people that stepped up. I believe they were in Nashville, the Nashville, Tennessee area. They connected through Twitter. A group of teenage girls, they connected through Twitter and organized one of the largest peaceful protests in the area. They just came together and said, you know what? We want to do something about this. We want our voices heard. We want people to know that young people have a stake and we have a message that we want to get out. And we're going to do it in a way that is nonviolent. And no matter what people may think about us, our generation, that we're lazy or that we're not active or that we're soft or weak, we're speaking up and using our voices. And I was just so impressed with the work that they were doing. And even when I've worked with an organization called Global Girl Project, which is an international organization that helps promote leadership amongst girls and young women in developing countries, I heard so many girls talk about the challenges they faced in their communities and how they stepped up to solve them. Everything from getting clean water to their village, how they stepped up to make it happen, and how they rallied their community to create change. So I was just really impressed by these young women all over the world who are stepping up and making a difference. And I think that it is a revolution.
It is.
Social mission revolution is definitely a revolution. And I see that Generation Z and the generation after them, Generation Alpha, it's almost innate to them to be active and to be involved. And they have this sort of mission. It seems like they have a mission coming out of the womb that they just want to make a difference. And I love it. And I just want to encourage it.
Yeah, it's so heartwarming to see, isn't it? It gives so much hope and promise to the world when you see these young people stepping up and just saying, we're not going to accept this. We're going to make the difference that we're here to make.
Exactly. And they're not waiting on their parents, their teachers, not even their mentors to make it happen. And in fact, many of the young people are challenging adults who are, standing on the sidelines, who may not be stepping up. So they're even challenging the adults. What are you going to do about it? Because this really isn't my responsibility now, but I'm going to contribute anyway. So I've seen it in so many instances. And, I just believe that if young people had more positive role models and others to encourage them, whether it's mentors or teachers or other relatives, to encourage them to just keep going. They're a resilient generation, but they've had so many challenges over the past few years. Even before the pandemic, they've experienced a lot of challenges. They live in a world that's kind of scary. Post 9/11 for children here in the US, and then globally, the threat of terrorism and other challenges and economic decline, they faced a lot in their young lives, and they're still resilient. But even so, I just want to encourage some intergenerational empathy for adults to have a bit of empathy for the young people. I sometimes hear adults say, well, this generation, they didn't have it as hard as I had it. oh, they're weak, they're soft, they're so sensitive. And my thing is, yeah, they probably shouldn't have it as hard as we had it. I mean, that's the goal, right? To make life easier for generations to come, not to do everything for them, coddle them, but don't we want to make life less challenging, less scary for our children and our younger relatives and students?
Yes. So there's a couple of questions I've got in my mind. One of these, how did you get into doing this? What started this for you?
Well, that is a question that I'm asked, and sometimes I wonder, how did I get started in this? I'll be honest, I never really intended to start Empowered Flower Girl, but I guess it was my calling, and it happened. Yes, I was just led to do it. I actually started mentoring youth. There's an organization in my community. At the time, I lived in the Detroit area, the Detroit metropolitan area, and I was volunteering with an organization that worked with girls and young women. They had a lot of prevention programs to help girls who were at risk for those who were homeless, those who had been trafficked, even those who may have been at risk of dropping out of school, or those who are in underserved communities. I started mentoring with this organization and met some amazing girls. I actually mentored girls ages 5 to 17 years old. So when I started, I was a little overly ambitious because I started mentoring 3 5-year-olds. Well, 2 of them were 5 and 1 of them was 6. So I was a little in over my head, but it was a great experience. And I will say it just transformed my life. It actually saved my life. Becoming a mentor really, really saved me. It gave me purpose at a time when life was really challenging for me. Some of the challenges I was facing as a college student. But as I worked more with the girls, I realized they were having some additional challenges with friends, just trying to fit in. And one of the girls, she was having some challenges at home with her family. And I didn't really know about it at first, but she was acting out in school, getting into fights. And at the same time, I had 3 nieces who were teens at the time. So I wanted to do something to help the girls that I was mentoring, as well as help my nieces. And I just started becoming more involved in the community and learning about youth development. And I actually was asked by the organization to come in and speak to others who may potentially be mentors. So that was the first time I actually facilitated a workshop. I hadn't launched Empowered Flower Girl yet, but I started receiving more requests from people to come in and speak to their student groups. Then one organization reached out to me and asked, "Hey, I heard you speak with the organization, and I would, love for you to come to our school. How much do you charge for your workshops?"
Okay.
And I'm like, charge workshops? I was just doing it out of the kindness of my heart. But as the requests started coming in, I figured I have to make this a legitimate venture and have to, get an LLC. So I became, I got the paperwork that was necessary to operate a business. Even though we're a social enterprise, we're still a limited liability corporation, which many social enterprises do launch as, some as nonprofits or government organizations. But yeah, I went ahead and got the proper documents to launch the business, my insurance, and I started developing a curriculum for workshops, and I came up with the name Empowered Flower Girl. Some people ask, well, do you sell flowers? And the answer to that is no, we don't sell flowers. We love flowers, and we encourage you to give flowers to people who you care about. However, Empowered Flower Girl, that name happened because I literally was a flower girl in my family's weddings. It seemed like every year someone in my family was getting married and they wanted me to be the flower girl. Well, at some point I said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Got tired of standing up in weddings in the summer and a hot dress that was itchy. And I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I asked my mom one day, I said, Mom, do I have to be in another wedding? Is it something that I have to do? And she said, well, if you don't like to do it, then no, you don't have to. I'm glad you asked me. I thought that you liked it. And I said, no, I think I'm done. So I retired as active family flower girl. And I said, you know what? I can do this. I can speak up for myself. And I was just 8 years old at that time, I believe. And I felt empowered. I didn't know that word at the time, but that's when I think back to it, that's the feeling that I had when my mom said, no, it's okay. You can make that decision. So at 8 years old, I became an empowered flower girl, literally. And so that's how I started the company.
A couple questions I wanted to ask you. One of them is, what's the difference between Rogeta now and Rogeta before you started Empowered Flower Girls?
Oh, now that is an excellent question. And you know, that's a question that I don't think anyone has asked me. So that's great. I have totally transformed the way I relate to young people. I will say that. I have a lot more empathy for the youth that I work with. And it definitely has helped me to grow as a mentor, working with youth. So before I started Empowered Flower Girl, you know, I had an affinity for young people. I wanted them to be successful, but I never really thought about young people having a voice or a seat at the table all the time. Sometimes in the work that I would do, young people would be invited, you know, as an afterthought. Some of the organizations I may have volunteered with or companies that I may have worked for. But after starting Empowered Flower Girl, I realized that youth definitely need to be included in the conversation. Even when I was writing my book, even with the cover of the book and some of the content, I said, you know what, maybe I need to have a focus group of young people to help me even decide what the cover should look like, what the cover image should be, what type of content that they really want to see in a book that would be a self-help book. So just about 5 years ago, I published a book called Be Empowered, How to Live Above and Beyond Life's Drama. And I actually went back to the organization that I started mentoring with and worked with some of the girls in the leadership program and had them sit around like a roundtable discussion on some of the issues and challenges they were facing. And I also asked them about which cover for the book would be most appealing to them. And they gave me their feedback and they let me know what challenges they were facing. And I realized for sure that definitely having young people as part of the conversation is vital. And I am definitely more aware of that. It just in the work that I do. I've definitely transformed, I would say, the way that I relate to the young people in my life, including younger relatives and young people that I may encounter in my community.
Yeah, it's incredible the difference it can make to you when you start on this kind of journey. The things that you had never expected to happen in your life.
Exactly. You don't know what you don't know, right?
No. So another question I wanted to ask you is, who has been an influence in your life? If you think about who's an authentic influencer in your life, who would that be? Because you talk about being an influence in young people, so.
Yes, great question. And I would say that I've been really blessed to have positive role models throughout my life. But I think about my aunt and uncle. They've passed away now. My aunt passed away when I was in college, and actually, she was one of the most influential people in my life. Right around the time that she passed away, that's when I actually started mentoring. That's when I became a mentor and wanted to help young people, because I was sad when she passed away, and that led into some depression. Her and my uncle, they took me into their home. They raised me. My aunt and her husband, they raised me from the time I was 12 up until I was a college student, and the impact that they had in my life was incredible. I don't know where I would be without them. And my aunt was a woman who was she was a go-getter. She was assertive, and she was definitely a leader, and that truly inspired me. And the fact that she took me in and raised me as her own, that was really moving. And I realized that there are people out there who care about us. They don't have to have given birth to us. They don't have to be our parents, but they can serve as parental figures. She was like a mother to me, and I'll never forget the impact that she, as well as her husband, had in my life. And I owe all that I am to them for transforming my life and having such an amazing impact. So they're definitely people who I think of when I think of who was an influence in my life.
So if somebody was thinking, I've got something that I feel like's a calling, what advice would you give them?
Well, the advice that I would give anyone who feels like they have a calling, or who even just has an idea that they think the world should hear, I would definitely encourage them to pursue their passion and to answer the call, right? When someone gives you a call, your phone rings, you pick up the phone and you answer it, right? I would definitely encourage them to answer that call, because they have potential to make powerful change. And oftentimes we get in our heads and we think to ourselves, well, I really can't do it. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Maybe I don't have the resources. But you don't want to you don't want to have that stop you, right? Just the voices that are inside your head. You don't want that to stop you. And I think that we need to get outside of our heads. Often when people have this calling, they will stop. They will let the negative self-talk get in the way. And I encourage them to just silence those voices and realize that your idea or the organization that you want to start, the initiative that you want to launch, it could transform someone's life. It could save someone's life. And that is greater than the fear that we may have as we're going into this work. So I definitely encourage people to just go for it. And to build up a network of those who are going to support them. We need a good vibe tribe, others in our life who are going to support us and getting those things launched. And I definitely encourage people, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Great advice. And it really makes that enormous difference to have people around you who support you in your journey.
Yes, most definitely. You know, I couldn't do this alone. I had supportive people in my corner. I've had friends. I've had even coworkers. When I was first starting out, they encouraged me, and I continue to keep positive energy within my circle. So that's vitally important for anyone, no matter what age or what stage you are in launching your idea, your organization, your initiative. Have people who are going to be your fans, and not get rid of the haters and get those who are going to celebrate. Yeah. Get those who are going to celebrate, not hate.
Yeah. Well, I've loved talking to you, Rasheda. I think you're a real authentic influence in the world, and especially to young people. You are doing an amazing work. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you or find out more about Empowered Flower Girl, how can they do that?
Well, if you want to connect with Empowered Flower Girl, be sure to visit us on our website, empoweredflowergirl.com. We're also on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Empowered Flower Girl, as well as Twitter at EFG Empowered. And, we're always looking to connect with youth as well as adults who are making a difference and who want to contribute in ways to young people. So we recently launched our Girl World Peace Academy. That's for teachers, counselors, mentors, or other individuals who want to make a difference in the lives of girls and young women who want to make a difference, as well as a living, empowering youth. So, definitely reach out to us and learn more about Girl World Peace Academy, as well as, how we can partner together, because we're all in this together, and we all have a mission of making a contribution to the planet. And we want to be able to connect to be able to do so. So we always welcome partnerships and opportunities to make it happen, to get the work done that we need to in our communities and in the world.
Thank you so much for coming on to Social Mission Revolution. I've really enjoyed speaking with you today, Rasheda. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you for your vision and the work that you've done. The work that you do continues to make a difference. And I'm just very honored to have connected with you today.
Thank you. And that's all we have time for today on Social Mission Revolution. And I'll be back next time with another Social Mission Revolutionist. This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another Social Mission Revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.